If a man approaches women at the rate he needs in order to get laid on the regular, inevitably, he's going to run into some messed up females. Now, personally, I recommend approaching at least 10 girls daily when you're new to the game. Now, this is a lot, but if you want to have a stable of women to be able to sleep with, then this is what's necessary. I've discussed this at length in episode 319 entitled, Building a Harem is a Full-Time Job, and trust me when I tell you that having done it myself, it absolutely is. Anyway, if you end up hooking up with one and spending more than just one night with her, you're going to learn a lot about her. You're going to find out she has some red flags, you'll learn about annoying characteristics she has, you'll learn about her hangups, her daddy issues, mental problems, and so on and so forth. Now, to be fair, every girl out there does have annoying characteristics. Every girl has baggage, and every girl has things about her you're probably not going to want to deal with. That's part of the gig. Deal with it. But if you like more things about her than things you don't, and the things you like about her make putting up with her annoying traits worth sticking around, I'm not mad at you. I've done it myself from time to time. No girl is perfect. And listen, guys, there's no need to be unreasonable. Dumping a girl because she watches a TV show you don't like is lame. Go home, go into another room, or just change the channel and tell her she can watch it on her own time. Problem solved. But there are traits that a lot of women have that are absolute deal breakers. Now, I'm not talking about obvious black flags like she has a neck tattoo or that she has 3 kids by 3 different men. I'm talking about habits and traits that most people characterize as normal or healthy. Most men are grossly unaware of these deal breakers because, well, so many women have them. These characteristics are the norm with most women, and because we've been forced to get used to them, we don't rule out these everyday characteristics. We know better in this community. But for those that don't, I'm going to give you guys 8 of the very worst kinds of females on the dating market here in 2020. Number 1, the 6 who acts like she's a 10. Now, early on in game, I had to crawl before I could walk, and I learned that the hard way. Right out of the gate, I started trying to run game on 9s and 10s, and I fell flat on my face because my game level wasn't anywhere near where it needed to be. Now, the first girl I ever ran red pill game on was, incidentally enough, a redhead. She was an 8, but I got her number. Now, she flaked on me when I tried to set up the meetup, but I wasn't deterred, because in my mind I thought, hey, that was my first go around and I got the digits. This is easier than I thought. And I quickly learned that this was not the case. So I had to dial it back and start hitting on 6s and 7s, which went much better. And before long, I got great with them, moved up to 8s and 9s, and eventually 10s. The rest is history. But what I found out was that 6s and 7s are so much harder to approach than 9s and 10s. Believe it or not, guys, approaching 9s and 10s is a lot easier than approaching a typical 6 or 7. And the reason why is that 9s and 10s don't get hit on that much at all. Everybody thinks dudes try to holler at them all day, every day, but the guys that actually do talk to them never try to escalate or get her number. They just make small talk for a little while, then stop because they're afraid to push the action forward. But 6s and 7s are notoriously difficult to approach because guys are never afraid to hit on them. In their minds, they have a better shot with a 6 than with a 10. As a result, they, the 6s and 7s, get hit on every minute of every day. And what this does is massively inflates their egos. The vast majority of the 6s and 7s I've approached in the past start poop testing right out of the gate. They think they're 10s simply because guys hit on them all the time. But what they don't realize is that most dudes only holler because they know that they're easier targets. Now, they are insufferable for about the first 10 minutes or so. And with some guys, it gets to a point where they think to themselves, this girl isn't hot enough to put up with this nonsense. I'm out of here. But for the guys who do stick with it and stay in the set, smashing 6s and 7s is about as easy as taking candy from a baby. Now, on the flip side, 9s and 10s are much easier to approach, but way harder to get into bed. So keep that in mind when you're out there, guys. 6s and 7s, harder to approach, easier to smash. 9s and 10s, easier to approach, much more difficult to smash. Number 2, the girl who won't shut the hell up. Most women these days mistake a man's sexual interest for a man's respect. They think that just because a man wants to sleep with them, that men are also interested in what they have to say. So they'll talk about anything and everything they can think of, and it's almost non-stop. They think you want them to give you their thoughts on politics or social issues or sports or science or whatever their last boyfriend lied to them about. In their minds, they think, well, he wants to sleep with me, so of course he wants my opinion on religion. Of course he wants my opinion on the economy. Of course he cares what I think about the latest Kardashian scandal. Of course he wants me to talk about my useless life. Of course he wants my opinion on astrophysics, which I have absolutely no idea what that is. I dated a good-looking white girl out in Vegas who was a solid 8, 8.5. Long blonde hair, great legs, great ass, the whole package. But she talked all the time and it drove me freaking crazy. Now, this was a few years after I took the red pill, so I was already at the point where I wasn't afraid to just tell her, yo, stop talking. You're giving me a headache. Now, the very first time I said that to her, she got all butthurt and told me, take me home. So I did. But then, of course, she texted me later to come over, which I did not. So she came over to my place and apologized. She was all, I'm sorry, I just like to talk and I'll try to get it under control and all that. But she never did. She was so used to guys not just telling her to shut the hell up for so long that she couldn't even do it when a guy she actually liked finally did. I didn't stick around much longer after that, and she did not take that rejection well at all. Number 3, the girl who tries to compete with you. These are some of the most annoying girls out here, guys, and I'm not talking about just friendly competition between you and your girl, like when you're bowling, or riding go-karts, or playing Super Mario, or other fun competitive stuff like that. I'm talking about the girls who think that being competitive is attractive to men, so they compete in everything. They race you to the car. They try to finish their food faster than you. I've actually dated girls like this. If you work at the same job, they're always comparing their sales numbers to yours. You tell them a story about how many miles you've ridden your bike, and they try to top it with something. I mean, it's all the time. One time, I went on a date with a girl I worked with at a call center. We used to flirt all the time when she'd compare her sales numbers to mine. So one Friday after we got our paychecks, I told her, how about I go kick your ass at the bowling alley and then wax that ass later on? She smiled and said, cool, let's do it. Bowling sounds fun too. This is how hard we used to flirt. Well, we went out, but we did not have bedroom fun because I couldn't stand her. She wanted to see who could drink the most at dinner. Then at bowling, she was talking trash the entire time. The whole thing was one big competition. It was like she was keeping score of everything. I can't get into the details of the whole night because that would just take too long, but trust me when I tell you it was that bad. So at the end of the night, I told her, I'm taking you home. She says, well, aren't you coming with me? I said, no, I'm dropping you off. She just shrugged her shoulders and said, all right, no big deal. Now, I was a little surprised that she didn't look at least a little disappointed, but looking back, she probably had someone else lined up later that night, which was fine by me because that girl was a freaking headache. Number 4, the last word type of chick. We have all had experience with these girls, gentlemen. You have an argument or maybe just a minor disagreement on the most insignificant thing, and she absolutely positively has to have the last word for no other reason but that she wants to be right. She doesn't care whether or not she's right. She doesn't even care about the facts. She doesn't care about any of that stuff. All she wants is the last word so that she can claim victory in the argument. Now, the first couple of times it happens, just let it go. Now, those may be isolated incidents, and if they're arguments, she may feel strongly about her position. Okay, fine, it happens. And some men are the same in a lot of cases. But when she absolutely positively has to have the last word about something you're watching on TV, or about something you're eating, or anything inconsequential, that's when it gets annoying. We all know of the girl who whips out her phone and Googles everything every time you have a disagreement on anything. And if the first search suggestion doesn't prove her point, she goes to all the links until she finally finds one that does. Then she says, see, I told you, blah, 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 blah. And you think to yourself, Jesus Christ, this chick went to the 3rd page on Google to find that. Do not stick around women like this, guys. They're not even close to worth the headache. Number 5, the drama queen. Now, we've all called some chick a drama queen at some point or another, but a lot of guys tend to overuse it. When they see a woman showing emotion about anything, they say, oh, she's being a drama queen. And you're like, dude, her brother died. Now, maybe it's not to that degree, but there are far too many dudes and girls out here calling people drama queens for getting worked up about something legit, like losing their job, wrecking their car, or anything serious. But then there are girls out there who make a big deal out of everything. One girl I've mentioned quite a few times on my show and articles did just that. She was a hot Mexican girl I met 3 weeks after she tricked a guy into paying for a boob job for her. She had just turned 19 when I met her, so you already know this chick is all kinds of messed up in a lot of ways. But she was a hard 10, so that's why I kept her around. Well, we all know that 10s are insufferable most of the time because they're, well, 10s. This chick was no different. If her coffee order was wrong, she'd make a huge deal out of it. If the Wi-Fi was slow at whatever casino or restaurant we were at, she bitched about it. If her aunt and her got into an argument about something stupid, she'd literally cry about it. Like literal tears about an argument with her aunt about why her aunt didn't put $5 in gas in her car after she drove it. This, gentleman, is a drama queen. The only reason to tolerate a drama queen is if she's an 8, a 9, or a 10. If she's a 7 or below, shut it down. Now, I'm not saying that you should allow a 9 or a 10 to be a drama queen, because if she is, check her on it and say, quit being a goddamn drama queen. It's not that serious. And I've done this every single time. But if she can't quit the theatrics and she's a 7 or below, kick her to the curb. Drama queens are way too much of a headache to deal with if she's not hot. And you meathead red pill guys who are getting ready to put in the chat, I don't care how hot she is, I will never mess with a drama queen. I'm gonna time your asses out for lying on yourselves. Again. Number 6, women who act like frat boys. This is another thing women do because the girl power movement told them it's attractive to men. Women who burp, fart, are loud and obnoxious are not even close to worth being around, not even for a little while. I call this the frat girl act. This is also the girl that tells dirty jokes, swears a lot, and says, that's what she said, and then laugh at themselves, which is pathetic. Women who act like this are ridiculous, especially when they're in their late 20s or early 30s, because you know they've taken on the persona out of desperation. A lot of these kinds of chicks have mannish voices and aren't feminine at all. They've got what I like to call party voice. You know, when their voices are raspy, loud, and hoarse. The kind of voice that might sound like she smokes 3 packs a day and does shots every weekend. Stay the hell away from these chicks if you want to keep your sanity. Number 7, the complainer. Women who complain about everything are insufferable, and they complain about stupid stuff like the chair I sit in at work is uncomfortable, or I don't like that my apartment is on the 2nd floor and I have to walk up the stairs to get there. Basically, chicks who complain about first world problems. Now, depending upon the way a girl looks determines how much you will tolerate, as is the case with anything. The hotter the girl, the more you'll put up with her complaining. And again, don't give me this, I don't care how hot she is, if she complains too much, I'm out. Don't be that wannabe meathead guy who wants everybody to think you're only smashing 9s and 10s all day, every day. If you like a girl enough and she's hot enough, you'll deal with a certain amount of BS. That's how it is, so don't act like you're the exception to the rule. I'll go back to the fake boob Mexican 10 I was seeing for a while out in Vegas. This chick complained about everything all the time. My soup is too cold. Why are we still waiting to be seated? Where's our food? It's been 3 minutes. Why do they close so early, and why did they not let me in early? Why does my boss make me stay 10 minutes past my shift even though we're in the middle of a dinner rush? I mean, it was always something with her. Again, I never let her get away with it. Every time she complained about something stupid, I'd laugh and say something like, first world problems, huh? And she'd get mad and shut up for a little while. But then she'd start again because that's just who she was. She couldn't help it. And the reason for that is that hot girls get what they want, exactly how and when they want it, all the time. Again, I dealt with that because she was hot. But if she were a 6 or a 7, I'd have kicked her ass to the curb in less than a week. Number 8, the girl who is always looking at her phone. Now, you guys might not think that this is a big deal because we think every girl looks at her phone all the time, right? Well, that may be true, but there are some girls out there whose faces are in their phones all the time. When you're at dinner, at the movies, at her place, at your time, all the time. Now, this is different in that even if she is hot, there's only so much you can take. I had a friends with benefits arrangement with this chick who lived in Henderson for about 2 weeks, and it got so bad that she'd forget where we were. I'd be driving somewhere, and when we got there, I'd turn off my car, she'd jerk her head up and be like, oh, I forgot where we were going. Another annoying thing about this is that we'd be in the car or watching TV and I'll be talking to her or doing whatever, and she just bust out laughing and I'm thinking she's laughing at what I said. Then she'll do it again when I wasn't trying to be funny and I'll look over and be like, what are you laughing about? And she's like, oh, I just read such and such on such and such site, or I saw this GIF or this video, blah, 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 blah. I put up with that for 2 weeks and just ghosted on her. Again, it's not a bad thing if your girl looks at her phone. At the end of the night, when my girl and I are relaxing, if I'm working on my show, my girl will whip out her phone and play Candy Crush when we're sitting around at the end of the night trying to wind down. She'll chuckle and tell me about something funny she saw, and that's perfectly fine. She does not do it when we're at dinner, watching a movie, or out doing stuff. She hardly ever has her phone in the first place, and when she does, it's because I'm busy doing something else. I'm not saying you have to have your girl's undivided attention at all times, but there are too many girls out there who are just hypnotized by their phones to the point where they don't even realize what's going on around them, including the guy who's smashing her. Some guys can deal with that, I can't. I'm sure a lot of you guys could probably add a few more to this list, and I would strongly encourage you to do so in the comments. Thanks for watching.